Our first guest up today is Freddy Sandoval. Sandoval Fight Systems, whole bunch of other things going on, but we want to talk about the fight team today because the amateurs have been putting in work. Everybody's been busy, and every time I look up, there's another amateur title fight being announced, so recognition for the team.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it. These boys are definitely working their off. And, we've already cut our teeth in this game, and this team we've got now, they've cut their teeth, taking short notice fights with people that people didn't want, going up weight classes, catch weights, doing it all that other people are afraid to do. So they definitely deserve what's coming their way, what they've earned.
What kind of sense of pride does it instill in you seeing the guys exude this bravery, willing to jump in and take these numerous challenges?
Yeah, no, it definitely it's one of those proud moment things, like a proud parent moment, and just it's pride in the sense that they are representing what SFS is built on and what it stands for, more importantly than everything. You know what I mean? They're representing the brand, they're representing the team, um, with the attributes that we were built on and founded on.
And how important, I never asked you about that aspect, is it to continue building on a legacy that your father had started in the fight game so many years ago?
Well, so that's the misconstruction there is Freddie did not technically start SFS. So we started it. We started it. When I first started, we had a couple different. I was with a couple different teams when I first started, and you know, I'm doing this, doing that, and they weren't too thrilled about me doing these things. So I just ventured off to my own, and obviously Freddie Senior was behind me, backing me up in all of that. And that's where SFS came from, doing whatever we wanted to, how we wanted to, when we wanted to. I had one coach that he didn't think it was a good idea for me to go on the Ultimate Fighter when I got the offer. Like, who cares if I'm not ready or not? Anything could happen. Shit, look what happened Saturday night. Oldberg was supposed to be done, and he won the belt. Anything can happen in this game. So, it means everything because we come from that old school. You remember it and how the times were, and you know, uh, we're just trying to keep that tradition and keep those morals and that keep that going.
What would you say for the team is the basic? What are the fundamentals or the principles that you guys operate off of?
We operate off of honor, respect, and just grind. Grind, grit. But honor and respect are our first, and resiliency too. Obviously, we want to have honor in everything that we do. And we want to be respectful and do it in a respectful manner, and be respected at the same time. And then obviously, the grit comes into it. A lot of these guys talk about it, and fighters and teams talk about grind and grit, and maybe they do grind, and but people don't understand what the grit part of this is. They don't, a lot of these guys don't know what it's like to have to be on the side of a bar, you know, where there's no mats, there's no dressing room, you know. Um, be in a place where you don't have room to shake out or nice amenities or anything like that before you fight. You know what I mean? Like that's great right there. Training in a garage, in the middle of the summer with no air conditioning, and in a building with no heating during the winter. Like that's grit. You know what I mean?
The team, from being gritty, from grinding it out, has started to see the fruits of that labor and the work. And I think the first championship victory of this succession of title fights that you guys have been involved in came with John Moreno picking up the Fight World Amateur Lightweight title. If we could go back to that night, what did it mean to you seeing him get that victory, persevere in a match that stylistically wasn't all that appealing, and he had to overcome being put on his back a bunch?
Yeah, so I'm going to correct that one. Santiago Gonzalez was actually our first title holder. He won the first title for us at CFC right before John did. He was stacked against the odds too for that. He had to fight in 30-degree weather outside, and he also, a stylistic nightmare where he's got a grappler that wants to fight him and hold him down, and in 30-degree weather, so he overcame that and did that. But going back to John, yeah, it was a crazy fight. It was not what we expected much of, I think the problem, and I think John's talked to you about it also in the interview, is we kind of looked past Zeke, and I learned a lot from that fight myself, because John should have dog walked him, and I think we just had that notion in our head, like, this is good, you're gonna get him, you're gonna do this and that. We did not take our training down. We still trained the same. Everything, preparation was there. I just don't think the mindset matched, and that's again on my fault for seeing it like that and putting that into John's head, which I learned I will never do that again, because we got dragged out into a 5-round war. But it was. I knew the fight. I knew we had won the belt going into the 5th round, and I told John, and you can watch it again. The cornering was maybe about 20 seconds. John had 30, 40 seconds left where there was nothing going on in between that round. Because I'm like, hey, you won. He's not going to beat him. He wasn't. I knew for a fact he wasn't. And I said, go out there, have fun, do what you want to do. So that right there was the winning moment. When they raised his hand, I had to fight back tears. It meant a lot, especially seeing what John's gone through. And, I built all of these guys from the ground up. None of them have come from other gyms. They weren't already established. I built these dudes up from the very beginning with no experience, nothing. And it's just one of those moments that you get goosebumps and chills, and, you lose a breath and you want to cry, and you're just happy, but you just don't know how to or what to do at that type of moment. I always say, though, that John won the title when he fought Sterling Woods, because that was supposed to have been the title fight. And technically, Sterling was the title fight man. It should have been. So when he beat Sterling that night, to me, he became the champion.
Sorry, shout out Santi. Didn't mean to not mention you. I just literally chronologically thought John had won first, and then I thought Santi was a little bit like a month or two later. My bad, got that wrong. But
no worries.
We also had Angel Gallegos. Now, we've called him the best kept secret, and it's hard to keep that secret going after another knockout victory and a championship won at Empire Promotions.
Yeah, man, that's another one. Now, he did come to us with 2 fights. We've already changed his we've already increased his skill level in the, 7-8 months he's been with us. He's fought at 3 different weight classes, stayed undefeated. And he's a champ now, and he's about to be a double champ soon. Also, him and John both will. Just another kid, man, that brings all the morals that we have, and he represents everything that we are. He's passionate. He's ready to give it his all. He believes in himself, and that's the important thing here, is getting him to believe in himself. He does that very well, and we're giving him new tools, and we're sharpening the tools that he has already perfected pretty well. I mean, the kid's 5-0, and he's rattled off three wins, 3 finishes, and a title, and secured a title with us in under 6 months. Like, it tells you what we're doing over here.
And then we also have a Leo Bitsui who talk about the guy willing to take a fight. Just if the phone rings, he doesn't say hello, he says yes.
Yeah, man, crazy kid. He had just fought, him and Angel just fought in Albuquerque, I think, 3 weeks prior to that. And, he was doing good in the fight with Peak. And even before he got caught, he was in that triangle hammering away elbows. Yeah, man. I didn't even think when we were looking at that fight that they were looking to fill the day before. And they mentioned it, the promoters mentioned, I said, Leo's not a 55er. I was like, but let me ask him. He probably walks around 150. I mean, I don't know. He might. I don't know. Yeah, he said, let's go. Let's run it. That was another moment for me that was it's one of those proud moments. It's nobody sees it, nobody knows about it, but to me, that's why I do this. When I can pick up that phone and shoot a call and my guy says, fuck yeah, let's do it. 2 weight classes up, not been in the gym much, going through his own. He goes out there and and he gives a show, man.
We also have talking about putting on a show coming up over adversity. Sick as a dog. Gabe Bencomo went through it and still fought.
Yeah. We he wasn't feeling well leading up to that. We don't say nothing. We don't make excuses. My guys go in there. There's no excuses. We didn't talk about it till after the fight. But he did have the flu and pneumonia for that fight. Gabe represents who and what we are more than anybody. You've seen the guy fighting at heavyweight. He fought genuine heavyweight fighters when he himself is not a heavyweight. And he take these guys to the distance. So and I said, what happens when Gabe comes in? Because he gives 120 in the fight. The gym, he'd give us 70, 80%. And I said, what happens when Gabe gives us 120 in the gym? He gave us 120 in the gym, and look at him now.
And then I saw Aaron Baldonado, a fight booked. We'll have him back in June at Empire Promotions in Las Cruces.
Yeah, he's going down a weight class to fight for a title. He should be 2-1. He got robbed his first fight at CFC. Whatever. It is what it is. Everybody saw how he won and how dominant he was. He's coming off that really dominant, well-rounded performance last year at Fight World. He broke both of his hands, and he did end up with a fractured cheekbone for that fight. That's why he had been out for so long recovering. But he's back too. And I always said, once Aaron wins one, he's not going to lose again. And he will get that belt in June. I will bet anything, anybody, Aaron will get that belt. There's no doubt in my mind about it. The kid is well-rounded. I mean, he's strong. He's training with nobody that his size, because we literally have nobody within 20, 30 pounds of his weight, because he's not heavy. So, I think he earned it. I know he hasn't been active, but again, coming off that performance that he did last year, it was stellar, and even before that, when he lost at Fight World, just got caught in a choke. It happens, but all his fights, he's been entertaining. And that's another thing with the SFS guys, man. You can't say there's a boring fight. You can't say we haven't put on any type of boring fights, not one. And that's why the promoters love us. That's why they call us back, because they know we're going to show up. We're going to show up on weight no matter what. And we're going to put on a fight, man.
SFS, we wanted to give the team a little bit of shine. We thank Freddy Sandoval for the time.